with me video. Yep. So today I'm making homemade meatballs, Italian meatballs, and homemade pasta sauce. The ingredients that I use, this is my way of making it, so you don't have to make it my way, but I'm telling you, it is unbelievably good. So what I'm going to do first is I got my crock pot right here beside me heating, and it's on high right now. So I'm going to bring that temperature down a little bit later on today while this goes through the process of cooking all day long in the crock pot. A lot of people won't make it in the crock pot because they say it goes watery. Well, I have not had that trouble. At the beginning, it will be a bit runny, but it does thicken up throughout the whole entire day. If you let it cook all day, it will be divine. So this is my crock pot right here, and it's already hot. So to my crock pot, I know you're gonna call me a cheater, but I always like to start with this as a base. Ragu original sauce. So I always dump this in first, and I will take a little bit of water in there and clean this out. So I'd say half a cup, and then just shake it all up so you get all the rich, thick sauce out of that. So I don't like any other flavor of pasta sauce, so I don't use any other kind except that. To that, I have diced tomatoes, a whole can of herb and spice. So this is herbs and spices in this can of tomatoes and into the crock pot. That's gonna go. To that is a full can of tomato sauce. So this is just pure tomato sauce, and it is a larger can than this. I can't kind of tip it, just wait till I pour it. So you can see it's the largest can that you can get in the tomato sauce. Okay. To that, a can of tomato paste, which I need my little rubber spatula. So I'm going to add this whole can of tomato paste into my sauce. Now this will help it to thicken throughout the day. So don't start panicking, go, my sauce ain't thick. It will thicken up throughout the day. So I'm just scraping off of the sauce off of my spoon. And I recycle, so we always remove the labels and we recycle. So I'm going to just give this a little stir to incorporate all the ingredients, the sauce, the tomato paste especially. You want to get that going and nicely incorporated in everything. So make sure your tomato paste isn't just one big huge clump in the middle of your sauce. Now I'm not a type of person that likes a ton of cut up chunks into pasta sauce. I can't do chunks. I have never been successful at trying to eat pasta sauce with hunks of celery, hunks of peppers. Just can't do it. Not my thing. So to this, we have some whole mushrooms, and I'm going to roughly chop these because I don't want big, huge pieces. I could have bought the pieces and stems, but these are this will be a little more chunkier than pieces and stems. That's why I like to buy the whole ones. This is what my kids grew up on. When I cooked pasta sauce, they loved it. So, just try to get each one of the mushrooms, you know, cut up a bit. But see, it's much more chunkier than you would get in the stems and pieces. So I kind of like this. So to my sauce, that's going to go. And it's just going to cook in there all day with them. And I have a plastic cutting board, or what do you call this, a resin cutting board, because I won't cut meat on my wooden cutting board. Never have and never will. It's just so unsanitary and very hard to get the stuff out. So, that's not everything. So I'm just going to stir in these mushrooms real quickly and let them get incorporated with the sauce. And have a drink of coffee. Now, to your sauce, you want to add a secret ingredient. It's going to sound kind of weird, but I like to add some onion soup mix to my sauce. Not the whole package. Jeff, can you give me a tablespoon, please? So I'm going to kind of mix this up because some of this is going to go in my meatballs. So I'm just going to take a big heaping tablespoon of that, not quite, 1/2 the package into the sauce that's going to go. And then I'm just going to stir that around. I also have roasted onion, dried onion in here, and I'm going to add about three of these little spoons. So this is a little 1/2 teaspoon type thing into that sauce. And then I'm going to give that a little stir. So there is the onion flavor. The garlic, you can cut up real garlic if you want, but I prefer garlic powder. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to put in about that much. And that is a whole palm of my hand full. Maybe a little more. I'm just going to sprinkle a little more on top for good measure. And then we'll stir that in. It's really good if it's garlicky. Now, for the fresh spices, we're going to add some fresh basil. So I'm just going to kind of pull these off the stems. I don't want the stems. And I'm going to cut some for my meatballs too. So I'm going to save a little bit of this stuff for my meatballs. So we would call this chiffonade. Just chop it up nice and tiny and fine. Nothing like fresh. Oh my God, the smell of fresh basil. So good.
Love the view.
Hi, Martha. She liked the garlic powder.
Hello, good morning.
Martha's with me, cooking along, enjoying her St. Patrick's Day. She's going out. So I want to kind of finely chop this. I'll chop more for my meatballs because that's not quite enough. So we like that into our pasta. And we're also going to use some fresh rosemary. So I'm just going to pull these sprigs off. That one's okay. I don't want the stems. Not a big fan of woody stems. So we will cut enough this time for our meatballs. Chop this really tiny fine too. I don't really want that hunk of woody branch. Yuck. My cutting board's taking off on me. This one doesn't stay still. That's why I hate using this. I like my wooden one because it has rubber stoppers on the bottom. Actually, it's got it on both sides. And you can buy these herbs fresh from the grocery store. Okay, so I'm going to sit a little bit off to the side there. Rest goes in my sauce. So that I want for my meatballs. And we're going to add some fresh Italian parsley. Maybe, if I can get it out of the bottle. I always have mine soaking in the fridge in a cup of ice water to keep it crisp and fresh. Other than these yellow leaves, I really don't want yellow leaves. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of break these off too. I don't want the woody stems. You can chop them and you can eat them, but I don't want to eat them. So I'm just getting rid of the big, thick parts of the parsley. And I don't want a yellow one. There we go. This looks pretty good. So, oh, I love the smell of this too. And Italian parsley looks so similar to cilantro. But smell it, you can tell. One's parsley, one's cilantro. Cilantro is very, very strong. And we're going to leave a little bit of this for our meatballs. I just want it a little bit more finer than that. And we'll push some aside for our meatballs. And the rest of this goes into our pasta sauce. So, for now, let me see. I'm going to grab my salt and pepper. So I'm going to move this out of the way for a minute. And I'm going to bring in that crock pot so you can see it. So it's a little, whoopsies. So it has to go this way. Alright. So this is what it looks like so far with all the ingredients in there. It's got a nice rich red sauce in it. To that, your last couple ingredients is I'm using sea salt, pink Himalayan, and I'm going to be generous with the salt in the sauce because we don't use salt after we cook. And this is a very mild salt compared to an iodized salt. And some black pepper. And I just like to sprinkle it on generously because you like black pepper. And give this a little stir. And then you're just going to let this cook all day long. All day. It is what? 11 o'clock here in the morning. Almost noon. And this will be ready by 5 o'clock. I'm going to leave it on high. I might not even turn it down depending how well it cooks. I'll just keep cooking it on high. And it will get nice and rich and thick. So I'm going to push this back and then I'll be right back to do the meatballs. And I will be simmering it with the lid on it. So that makes it cook even quicker and better. So we're going to make some lovely homemade meatballs. In my bowl, I am going to add a pound, not quite a pound, I don't think this is a pound, of lean ground pork and this small ones, that's about a pound of lean ground beef to this. and I don't want to touch it. So I have a thing with touching meat. I'm going to put on gloves because I'm not mixing these up with yucky and get all that stuff underneath my fingernails and stuff. I can't stand that. So we will be putting on gloves. Now, to our meatballs, we will add the whole rest of our onion soup mix powder. Soup mix. We are going to add 1 scoop and 2 big heaping scoops of palm on your hand. Those are my palm size hands. So you're going to add roughly a cup and a quarter of that. To that, you're going to add...
But what was that?
Oh, these are breadcrumbs, and they are Italian. They are the Italian style breadcrumbs. And you're going to add some Parmesan cheese. And again, I just mix with my palm. Squish some Parmesan in here. And I'm also going to throw some Parmesan in the spaghetti sauce a little bit later on. Now, also to that, we're going to add our two herbs there. And then I'm going to cut the basil that we didn't get in our... So I'm just going to cut some fresh basil with these long fingered gloves. And cut my finger off with these. Now when you add salt and pepper to your meatballs, be very careful because Parmesan is very salty. So don't go hog wild with the salt unless you're an absolute salt freak, and I'm not. So there is those. Now to this, you want some salt and pepper. And I'm going to go easy with the salt. Don't need a whole lot. And lots of fresh ground pepper. Dum dum dum. Fresh ground pepper. Hi. Martha, do you like fresh ground pepper?
Freshly ground, yes.
Okay, so I think I have enough, maybe. We love pepper, just in case you didn't notice. We love it. Now, I am also going to add, for my binding ingredient, an egg. I don't use milk. That's just gross. And I'm having a sip of coffee. Alright. So, might have to add 2. I have a lot of wet, dry ingredients in there. So there's 1 egg. And I'm going to start to mix this to see if I will require a second egg, which I'm pretty sure I will. The ground pork is just a little bit still frozen in the very center of it because it was thawing all night in the fridge. It's still kind of frozen right there. Might get away with 1 egg. So I like to use 2 hands to mix this very well. Yeah, we got away with just 1 egg. I don't know, sometimes I like to use 2 eggs just to be safe because I hate when you cook with hamburger and it falls apart, the meatballs. But this feels like the binding egg in it is it's going to hold it together very well. But you want to make sure you get all of this mixed in really well. It's looking pretty good. There, I think that's mixed very, very well. All our ingredients are very well mixed, and it's holding together quite nicely. So, Jeff, you want to grab that egg? I don't need it, and put it back because my hands are all yucky. Alright, now I have a large cookie sheet here lined with parchment paper, and I'm going to roll my meatballs and bake these in the oven before they go into transfer into the pasta sauce. I know you guys are going to say, oh, I wouldn't do that, I'll be there all day. I always make tiny bite-sized meatballs, ones that will fit, like that's going to shrink down a little bit, so that's about an inch ball. But I like tiny ones because I like bite size, that we don't have to cut them. You can just get a whole bite of meatball in your pasta. So we're just going to make a few more here, and then I'm going to go off camera and finish that, and then I'll show you them.
Love the meatballs.
Yes, and when they're bite size, they're perfect. I could have bought ready-made meatballs, but I kind of like the taste of mine better than those ones in the store. They just taste
bland.
Yeah, but they just taste so, yeah, blah, and like cardboard. They taste like cardboard.
Bland.
Yeah.
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 No taste to them.
No. So I'm gonna go off camera here and finish up these meatballs here, and I'll be back. Okay, so that's how many meatballs we got. I didn't really count them out of the 2 packages, but there's 2, 4, 8, 10, 12, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 50, 52 meatballs. So these are going to go in the oven and cook at 350 degrees until they're nice and crispy golden brown around the outside. You want to kind of get a little bit of a crust on the outside of them, because once they're cooked and drained from the grease, which I have to drain, they're going to go into the pasta sauce and cook in the pasta sauce for the rest of the day, and then they'll become very tender again, but has that nice golden crust on the outside of the meatballs. So those are going into the oven. Now, one more thing. So those are going to cook. One more thing that's going to go, I'm just going to wipe my cutting board off here. It's kind of green. I'm done cutting up herbs. So this is an optional thing, but we like to have Italian sausage in our sauce. But these have to be, I cooked these in the oven before. Lots of people, my mother used to just take them, cut them, and throw them right into the pasta sauce. I can't do it. I can't do the grease. I have to cook the grease out. Cook it out, dab them on paper towel, and then they get thrown into the pasta sauce. First, you gotta cook them. And again, I want a nice crispy golden edging on my Italian sausages. These are hot. Oh, I hate hot foods, but this is all they had at the day I was buying them. So I'm just going to cut them into bite-sized pieces and onto a parchment sheet covered cookie sheet. Actually, I'm going to try and cut them all at the same time, but they will get kind of messy because they're thawed. It's best to cut these. They almost look like little tiny meatballs. And then I'll show you what they look like once they're all on the pan. You can tell they're very hot. You can see the red in them. And you can roll these, you can pull the skins off of these, and you can make your own meatballs. The only time I do that, and I don't use the hot stuff, is when I make rotini bake. I make my meatballs out of mild Italian sausage. And I take the skins off, and then I just cut little pieces off like this, and kind of roll them into a meatball shape. Bake them in the oven, and put them in my rotini bake. But they're really miniature. They're really tiny. That, I'm trying not to get my casing ripped off of that one. So this one here is going to be just a piece of Italian meatball. Italian sausage meatball. And one more. So I'm just kind of scattering them all over my cookie sheet here. These are so good to bite into with your pasta. Pasta with the meatballs. Is the pork sausages. Okay. That's them. They look like little mean meatballs. I need to put those in the oven. Now I'm going to wash my hands. Get yucky meat on them. Okay guys, I'm back, and the meatballs are cooked, and so are my sausages. So you can see these are just like really small bite-sized pieces. These didn't shrink up too much because the meat was very lean, so I like lean meat. So what you want to do now, you should smell the spaghetti sauce, is take your little mini bite sausages and add them to your sauce. They do have a nice crunchy crust on them, as well as the meatballs. So that's quite a heaping amount of meatballs. So this is going to be a few meals for just me and Jeff, because we freeze a lot of ours. And I'm just going to stir these in the pasta sauce now, and I'm going to let this cook all day. It is now 1 o'clock. And yeah, and I'm doing laundry at the same time too, so kind of running up and down stairs here. Anyway, this sauce looks incredibly good. I will give you a little look-see. So there it is with all the meatballs incorporated. You can see it's already all nice and steamy hot. So we're just going to leave these cook now, and those meatballs and sausages will soften right up in this sauce. So just let it cook. So this is about 3 meals of sauce for me and Jeff, because we'll cool it and put it in containers and freeze it. And when we want to have pasta, we just pull out the sauce. So I will be back when everything is all put together, and I think we're going to cook. Let's have a look. See. Oh, I think we're going to have some shells. So this is what we're going to have with our pasta, because I love baby shells. Well, they're a little bit bigger than baby shells, but this will be cooked. And I'll show you the garlic bread too. So when we get too close to putting that in the oven, I will get back here and show you what to do. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so I thought I'd give you a little look-see. It is now 10 to 4, and that's how the sauce is looking, very thick and rich. And you can see the meatballs, the sausages have all, well, I would call it softened up, but that's what that looks like. Now I'm going to make the garlic bread, and I'll be right back. Alright, so here is the beautiful French bread, and I kind of, let me just grab this opened. And I'm kind of just squishing the crust at the back, just a little bit, so it stays flat. So when I bake it, it'll bake nice and flat. So I'm just gonna smear this beautiful garlic butter on it. And I'm gonna put quite a bit on, because the more you have, the better it is. And I get every single piece of the bread, like so. Real easy peasy. I am not cheap with the garlic butter. That way you get the flavor right through the piece of bread. Now, I need to just wipe some butter off my hands here. Now, I've decided I'm going to put cheese on it. So I'm just going to sprinkle. Oops. Let's give it a shake. I'm going to give it a shake. My oven is preheating to 350. And then I'm going to put these marble cheese on it. Whoops. So kind of have it, you know, drooping over the side a little bit. It's okay with me. But we really want all of it to have lots of cheese. So we'll put some on the ends there. And now we're going to put a little more Parmigiano on top. And we're going to bake this at 350 degrees until it's nice and a little bit golden brown. Not too crazy. Not too crazy brown. And I've got the pasta water on, so we're going to be cooking the pasta, and I'll be back when everything is all cooked and done and you get to see the end result. So I'll be right back after this commercial break. Okay, we're back. Let me just show you quickly the garlic bread. Oh my God, Becky. Let's have a oven mitt because it is hot. Actually, I'm just gonna lift it off on the parchment paper and let me show you how beautiful that turned out. I am so happy for it. And we're gonna cut a couple of slices off. See, I flattened it so it laid nice and flat and it cooked really, really nice. So we just cut off. Let me show you how nice and delicious this is. Cheesy, very Parmesan-y. All right, I'm gonna just move this back onto the plate or pan, and let's dig into some sauce. So the sauce is ready. Ooh, it looks so good. And I'm just gonna scoop some right over top with the meatballs and some sausages and a little bit of sauce. And I'm just going to scooch this over a little bit. That's a lot. I'll never eat all that. And then I'm going to just top it off with some parsley, fresh parsley, and some fresh Parmesan. And a slice of garlic toast. And there is homemade meatballs and homemade pasta sauce that's been cooking all day. So I really hope you guys give this recipe a go. You might like it. This is my way of making it. There's many, 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 many millions of different ways of making pasta sauce. And this is just the way we like it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, or not tutorial, this Cook With Me show. And I guess I'll see you soon on the next Cook With Me. Bye, everyone. La-ti-da. It's Italiano night. Bye.